What's up, everybody? Brandon here with ADHD Game Dev. So glad for you to join me. I want to talk today to you about something that I'm struggling with, and maybe you do too, if you're an ADHDer and a game dev. This idea of wanting to take your project and just completely bin the whole thing, or make changes so radical as to completely fundamentally change what you were working on in the first place, usually brought on by boredom. As an ADHDer, boredom is something that's always going to be nipping at our heels, because unless we're constantly stimulated, we're pretty much constantly bored. It's just an on-off switch, isn't it? You're not alone in that if you feel that way. I would advise you that anybody who's been working on video games is going to find themselves kind of stretched to the limit, up against a wall, bored to death of their own work at times, and wondering if they're ever going to be able to complete it. There's also a lot to be said for the desire to want to radically change something, mix it up, and try something new if you're doing it for the right reasons, to make sure that you're headed down the right path, to radically alter your direction and try something new. Perfectly good idea. Usually in the interest of making a copy of it, trying it, and then being able to go back to the thing you were working on in the first place as the better option. If, however, you're acting in an impulsive fashion, you might find yourself wanting to just take your entire project and irrevocably change it for better or worse. Okay, so how do you get away from that? And what are you really up against? For me, I think I'm having to recognize that, okay, what's going on is that I'm getting bored and antsy really a lot faster than I would like to. One of the things that I advised previously is that you set yourself a reasonable timeline, and not a timeline of I have a deadline of when I got to deliver, or else, I don't know, something arbitrary, but something that's more personal. It's going to be about, I don't have the personal wherewithal and stick-to-itiveness to manage to stay with a project for a year or two. I just don't. So I know that about myself, and my personal admission here on that front means that a few months, yes, I could do it. 6 months on a project, okay. I know it might get stretched a little bit further. Maybe it'll be pushed a little bit further. If we start going past that, I'm going to start losing it. Are you like that? I'm getting real with you. Like I said, this might be a bit of a diary entry, just talking here, just off the cuff a little bit. But when I'm working on my current project right now, the Cowboy Dungeon project, I'm dealing with a couple of things. One is that I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and maybe some other project would be a lot better. Ooh, this other project, that doesn't have all the problems. That doesn't have the issues. I could just ditch this project and go do another one. The other one is that boredom with what I'm doing and wanted to mix it all up. So instead of starting a new project, I just mix this one up and make some radical changes so that it gets that spark of joy back again. Listen. Both of those things that are rattling around in my head have nothing to do with clear decision making. They have to do with being bored, either scrapping it for a new project or radically changing it in such a way that it becomes a new project. It's all about trying to regain that spark of excitement about what I'm working on. The problem at the end of the day is internal. It doesn't have anything to do with the problem with the project itself. At times I've gotten bored with projects, or I've found myself up against a problem, and rather than working out the problem, I say ditch it and stop working on video game design altogether until the itch comes back again and I want to do it. This is typical. If you're relating to what I'm saying right now and you're going, yeah. Listen, this is typical. This is how we function as ADHDers, and something that afflicts anybody who's ever gotten into a creative project. Maybe somebody who's not an ADHDer can say, I am also bored, but I'm going to put one foot in front of the other and keep on going. With an ADHDer, it's like, yeah, but I don't want to bloop. And maybe it does require just a bit more personal discipline, or maybe we need a moment to step away. I have found that being able to step away, step back, take an actual honest-to-goodness breather is helpful. Not the kind of breather where I'm actually just churning on it in my head. What you're doing if you're an ADHDer is that you're probably never giving your brain an actual honest rest, because you're hyper-fixated on it and you won't let it go. Even when you rest, even when you go for a walk, even when you grab a hot shower, whatever it is you do to chill out, you still keep churning. You don't allow your brain to power off and get away from it. But that can actually be really, really important to not burn out. And so that when you go back to it, you've still got some excitement and you've still got some energy about it. I fired up my game project because I'm trying to work on it every day, and I'm looking at it and I go, what's wrong with you? This looks great. I'm really happy with the direction and the progress. There's more work to be done, but that doesn't mean that I'd chuck the whole project out the door and start over or something like that. We have to stop tripping ourselves up and stopping ourselves from making forward progress just because we get bored. So, how do you do it? How do you deal with it? You're fighting with it. Don't act like you're not. Go ahead and share your stories below. And hey, I hope that you will be awesome today. Thanks a lot.